to another episode of Rolling with the Punches. We're here with Gavin Gwynne. Gavin, thank you very much for joining us. He's the Commonwealth lightweight champion. How does it feel, Gavin?
Yeah, it's amazing. Still mad hearing that. Introducing me Commonwealth champion is still a mad feeling. Like I'm still living in the little bubble. Like I'm not back training yet. I'm gonna do a little run tonight, so gonna get back training and get back reasonably fit and get back in the gym on the weekend. Really, so yeah, I'm good.
So I'm sure most of the listeners know Gavin fought a guy called Sean McComb. Sean was firm favourite at the bookies, but obviously Gavin walked him down, bullied him, and made him quit in round 7. So a great performance. And Gavin, we just kind of wanted to ask you sort of like what's next for you now, because obviously Paul Hyland Jr. and Maxie Hughes have got a big fight coming up. Would you take the winner of that, or is it something that interests you?
Yeah, definitely, 100%. I think I got another fight now with MTK in the contract, so I think I'm going to defend the Commonwealth title. Hopefully against, hopefully I have an easy fight, because I've had the past 3 fights of title fights have been like fringe world level opposition sort of thing. So we get defense of the Commonwealth title now, and then the winner of Paul Hyland Jr. and Max Hughes is a massive fight. So I definitely want that fight, and hopefully we can get it done towards the end of the year when crowds are allowed back in. Yeah.
So going back to I wanted to touch upon your most recent fight. So for me, in that it was the 5th round, wasn't it, when you got the cut to the back of the head?
Yeah.
Talk about that in the moment. What were you thinking?
I thought there was a punch at first, because after watching the fight back, if you noticed, I looked at the ref to say he punched me in the back of the head, but I didn't know it was cut until like 30 or 40 seconds later. It started streaming down. I didn't even know where the blood was coming from, but it didn't faze me really. I know I got full confidence, obviously, in my corner men, and I know that they do a good job. So Chris Saniga was the cutsman that night, so he done a fantastic job, because after the fight he just didn't stop pissing out. It was like someone was pouring blood over the back of my head. Yeah, it was mad. Like, obviously, because my heart rate was pumping. It was intense, wasn't it? So like, obviously the blood thins, and but he done a fantastic job, and it like pushed me on a bit to get the job done a bit quicker as well, just in case I lost a lot of blood sort of thing.
Were you always going for that just to get him out of there then? Because in the 7th, I know you were kind of wearing him down, and you both putting on a really good fight. But then almost in the 7th, I was expecting him to take a knee, but then he just kind of turned his back. Like, you really just put on him so much, he just had enough, and he's forced himself to quit almost.
Yeah, the game plan was for the first like 5-6 rounds, just constant pressure, nothing in my shots, like to, I don't know, put a false, I don't know, like, so he thought he could take the shot sort of thing. So the plan was just to throw loads of shots, not much power in them, just flurries of shots and keep working. And then the second half of the fight, start sitting down on my shot to start like putting some power into him. But at the end of the 6, I caught him with a couple of shots. So I thought, I'm going to put a bit more meat into my shots. And at the end of the 6, I was catching him clean, and his head was everywhere. And I honestly thought the corner was just going to say, oh, that's enough. But fair play to him, he come back out in the 7th round, and then I really started putting it on him, and I started putting some meat in my shots, and I was landing the uppercuts and the hooks very clean. And he just turned his back. But I thought he was going to take a knee.
Yeah.
So I stood back because I thought he was going to take a knee, and he turned towards the rope. So I thought, he's going to have another one. And I threw a shot, but it missed. It missed, and he just turned away then. And that was it. That was the end of it.
I wanted to just ask you on those Joe Cordina and James Tennyson losses. Did you learn anything in particular from that? I know they were both really tough fights. You know, top level opponents. Was there anything you took away from them and took into this fight, or?
Yeah, just experience really. Obviously, Joe's obviously a totally different fight to James Tennyson. It was more of a skill set with Joe. His skill set was a lot higher than mine. So it was a thinking fight with Joe, whereas the Tennyson fight, it was more brute power and strength sort of thing. So it was just I took a load of experience from it, and I think it really showed in this fight as well how cool I was in the build up to it. I was really confident because I knew Sean had never been championship rounds with any sort of decent fighter. I know he has been amateur level, but it's totally different. The program, 12 rounds, totally different styles. So I was really confident going into that fight because the experience I had from them two fights, really.
I sort of rushed into it a little bit earlier, but I wanted to just take you back now just to that Maxie Hughes and Paul Highland Jr. fight. How do you sort of see that fight going stylistically?
I really rate Maxie Hughes. I think he's a good fighter. I haven't seen much of Paul Highland Jr. I seen him against Lewis Ritson. He stopped him one round, was it?
I think it was early, yeah.
Yeah, it was early, and I think James Tennyson hits harder than Lewis Ritson, if I'm honest. I've been in the ring with them both. They're both big punchers, but I think James Tennyson is just a little bit more. He's got a little bit more in his shot, so I think I'd do really well against Paul Highland Jr. And I think Maxie Hughes is his style is made for me, sort of thing. I'd be very confident. Either one facing either one, really.
And what date is that fight scheduled for? I haven't seen. I know it's happened, but I didn't see the date. Do you know what date that's scheduled?
I think it's this month. I think it's the end of this month, isn't it?
Is it the 19th of March on the Friday? I think maybe.
Yeah, 19th of March. Yeah.
Because that's what I was going to say. Because I know you said you've got one more fight with MTK. It'd be quite nice for you to get whenever MTK's next show, get out and then be able to get straight back onto that rematch. But I imagined you're not allowed to fight for a while now, or how long do you have to wait?
It was 28 days with a cut. I'm not with sparring and everything else. So I'll probably get a defense in now. It might be behind closed doors. Win that, and then I'd much rather that fight because it's a big fight. I'd much rather it be where the crowds can get back in and watch it because it's a really good fight for the fans. So maybe you could have it in the Motor Point Arena because I know I do big numbers as well. So that'd be amazing, like a little bit of a homecoming for myself.
Yeah, unreal.
How has it been for you fighting behind closed doors? Obviously, you fought on the Matchroom card and then the MTK card. How have you found it? Have you found it quite weird, or sort of you settled into it?
The Matchroom one was really, really weird because it was outside. It was eerie more than anything. I think I've said it before. That's all I could do because they had the big drone. They had the big drone for filming with Sky. So that's all I could do was that going up and down. It was really weird. It was strange, but being in, I think it was the Bolton Wanderers Stadium, isn't it? Being in there, it was like being in the gym almost. So I found that quite easy. I prefer that a lot more to fighting open air, but I think it'd be totally different if we had the crowds in the Matchroom Garden. I think that'd be a spectacular event in the summer. Be awesome. I'd love to. I know Eddie got a soft spot for me, so I'd love to get on one of them.
And then talking about fight camp, was it weird between yourself and Tennyson? Because obviously I know Eddie. I saw an interview with him where he said that the first bubble was really small. Was it weird being around your opponents the whole week? Yeah,
I'm not it's a fight game sort of thing. I haven't got no bad blood against whoever I fight. unless they say anything personal about me. I want to have no bad blood against anyone. So it was weird being that close, because obviously we're going out in the morning. It was a little area where we could do a walk. It was like being in prison, doing your yard time, like. So that was strange, but like we'd see each other and just say, "You're right," like, sort of thing. But that was about it. But yeah, it was strange because it was a small place. It was really small. Like the bubbles now, like they got everything. Like this, well, you've seen the Canelo. They had a mini golf set up and everything. Yeah,
absolutely ridiculous. Actually, talking about Canelo, what do you make of the Billy Joe Canelo fight?
Oh, I think it's. Do you know what? I've said it for a long time. I think the only person to give him any trouble is going to be Billy Joe Saunders. Is whether he can take his power, and he's so good at making people miss and countering them and hurting them. Like it's going to be an interesting fight, but I'm backing the Brit to win. Like every Brit I'd back. Like, yeah.
Do you worry a bit maybe about getting the decision out there though in America, just in terms of sort of like Billy boxing on the back foot and the way Canelo likes to cut off the ring? Do you worry that maybe he just might not get the decision?
That's the only thing. Like, and Canelo's a massive superstar, and he, Billy Joe. I know Billy Joe Saunders over years, a superstar, but he ain't over there, is he? So that's going to sway the judges as well. So he's going to have to do something really special to pull it off, because I can't see him knocking out. I don't think he got the power to knock Canelo out. So the only way he's going to win is just to outschool him, sort of thing, and put on the best performance he've ever had. Like, yeah.
Sort of staying on the world level conversation, I just wanted to ask you about the lightweight division at world level and who you sort of rate and who you think is going to come out on top out of those top guys, because there's so many good guys up there. Who do you reckon is going to be the main man?
Do you know what? I really like Teofimo Lopez. I think he's number one. Well, he is at the minute, and he I can't see anyone. The only person I can see beating him is Tank Davis. Yeah. Who's the other one I seen the other day? Ryan Garcia. I think he's young. He's only going to get better as well. But I can't see him staying at lightweight, as same as Teofimo Lopez. I think they will both go up to 140 within the next 2 years, because Ryan Garcia, I know he's a big lightweight. And then we've got Cambosis Jr., who fought my gym mate Lee Selby, but I don't think he stands a chance against Teofimo Lopez. I think he gets knocked out within 5 rounds.
Well, what's your thoughts on that? Talking about that, because it went to purse bids, that Triller bid, meaning they changed their lives overnight. So what's your thoughts on that? That's
mental, because I watched the fight with him and Lee, and it was really close. I think it was controversial. I had myself, and I'm quite thin against my gym mates as well. I won't give them rounds if I don't think they've won the round. I won't give it to them, sort of thing. So, but he didn't really land any clean shots on me, and I think he should have had a rematch with Lee before anything, because there was a lot of controversy there with the scorecards and everything else. I think it was the week before that, Lewis Ritson fought. I can't remember his name now, but it was a robbery sort of thing.
Oh yeah, it was on behind closed doors, that fight.
Yeah, and that was only a week before, so I think it was a bit of, we'll make up for it here, sort of thing, and give the other guy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that was thing, but you can't fault them, can you? It's over £2 million in it for a world title shot. It's mad. It's mental money.
Gavin, I wanted to we obviously do this with most guests, but I would quite like to take you all the way back to your to where it all started for you, and just sort of how did you first get into boxing? Was it a family member, or what was the sort of specifics of that for you?
It was a gym right close to me. So me and the boys we were only 10, 11. We were out one day, and one of the boys said, "Oh, should we go to the boxing gym?" And I was like, "Yeah, come on. You do anything to know, just go along with the boys." Like, so we went up there and added to the bag, trained for like an hour, and then went home then. And I don't know, it was a strange feeling because it was quite scary going in there because all the bigger boys hitting the bags it's not a nice place to go. Like when you're only small. Like the smell as well is not many people like the smell of these gyms. Like and it was a really old-fashioned gym as well in Chiaris. I've done that for like 2 years on and off, and then I had a few years off, and then I come back to it when I was 18 then. Yeah.
How many amateur fights did you have overall then?
Off the top of my head, I'm sure it was like 30 odd, like maybe 38, 39. Might have been more because most of them were international cards, and you obviously have a different license for amateur boxing.
Yeah.
And I never got that back. And we went to a tournament, and they lost my card. And all my fights were on the card. So it would have been nice to keep like from all my fights. And maybe I could call up the world squad. They might have it down there, but I doubt that. We might have left in one. I think it was Poland there was, and we left it out there, sort of thing.
Right.
So that's a bit tough to get that back.
Yeah, that's a big cut in. Like, but on my other card, I think it was like 20 odd on there. But then the rest of them were all internationals then.
Oh right, okay. Well, I want to touch upon that because when you're talking about amateur boxing, for some reason now there's almost you see these new fighters like you got Tommy Fury, right, who's come from Love Island but comes from a boxing family.
Yeah.
And so, but there's also fighters like Johnny Fisher, who's Johnny Fisher just signed for Sam Jones and Matchroom heavyweight, and he's had I think no or maybe one amateur fight, the rest are white collar. And there's also who else have they literally just signed who's also had no I just had it in my head. Is it Solomon Dakers or is it not Solomon Dakers?
No, he boxed for GB, so that he not him, but I think I know who you're talking about, but yeah.
It seems like there's a new surgence of Eddie Hearn almost trying to build fighters up from the start almost. And it just seems weird to me, less going down the traditional amateur route.
Obviously with the heavyweight boxing, it's hard to get them fights anyway. So most of the fights are done with sparring pros. So like they doing 3-4 rounds sparring. That equates to a fight they're gonna have on a club show, sparring these pros. So they're having 2 or 3 fights a week, sort of thing. It's a lot easier to do with the heavyweights. With the smaller boys, I think you've got to have a bigger pedigree. It's more skill level with the smaller boys compared to the heavyweights. So I can't see him going down the weights and just jumping in pro. I don't think that's going to work out well for anyone. I know a lot of boys are coming from the white collar as well now because obviously they're paying pennies, but instead of getting a trophy again, maybe 50 to 100 quid at the end of the night, it's better than getting a plastic trophy, being not fighting the level as opposition that you would in amateur shows, sort of thing.
And Gavin, just for you, what's the sort of, I mean, obviously you're going to want to take things as far as you can, but what's the sort of end goal for you? Where would you like to leave boxing? What sort of place would you like to leave it? I've always said like I can compete at European level, and I know I can win a European title. So I really want to win that European title, and then if I get my chance at the world title shot, I'm not going to turn down that. So I'd fight any man anyway. I'd fight 2 men in one night for a world title. So if I ever got the chance, I would take it. But I know realistically I can win a European title. That's the end game, like. Yeah. Anything else, Connor? What else have we got? We got surely some more questions.
I just wanted to touch upon. I just want to show if you want to go again. I wanted to touch upon actually And also, I was going to say Fabio Wardley was the other heavyweight I was thinking of, who I think had just white collar. But anyway, moving from that, talking about the fight that's being made. Well, we hear every 2 weeks from Eddie. But what are your predictions on the Fury fight, on Fury AJ? How do you break it down?
I rate them both. Like they've done fantastic things for British boxing, haven't they? Especially Tyson Fury coming back from where he was. It's a fantastic comeback story, and Anthony Joshua working all his way up from Olympic gold. Like it's and he's giving back to the sport as well. He's giving money back into the amateurs. Like going back on what you said, like amateur boxing now is dead in the water, sort of thing. This past year has been, and all these kids, they haven't been able to train and things like that. So I think they needed that funding. So well done to Anthony Joshua. But I could see the only one way of that fight going, and Tyson Fury comes out on top.
Really? I mean, me and Ben argue about this the whole time. I'm an AJ fanboy. Ben probably agrees with you a bit more. But I suppose what's interesting there for me is it's the battle between promoters almost, because you've got Eddie versus Frank. And do you feel like after boxing on Fight Camp, a certain level of kind of loyalty to Eddie now, or would you fight? I know you're fighting with MTK, but would you go now to Frank, or would you go to Eddie? Is it just about where the fight is? Because I know a lot of fighters, once they fight with Eddie, they don't fight anywhere else.
Yeah, I like Eddie, and he's a nice guy. Like we got to hang out up there, and just be normal people. And he's a nice, down to earth guy. Like I know he's come from money background as well, but he's not. He don't come across like that. He's a normal guy, and I don't know. I don't really like Frank Warren. Especially what he does to Welsh fighters. I think all of the Welsh fighters I don't know, he just haven't kept them active. I know a good friend of mine, Craig Evans, boxes with Frank Warren, and he don't even know where he is with him, sort of thing. He don't want to get in fights. So I don't think I'd go down that route, no.
Fair enough, that's really interesting.
Very interesting. Yeah.
I think that's been amazing. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming on, mate.
No worries, boys.
Yeah, cheers, Gavin.
Thank you for having me on. Thank you for having me on.
No problem. Best of luck as well with what's next for you. Obviously, we'll be looking out for the Paul Island Junior Max Hughes fight and hoping that you'll jump in there against the winner. So best of luck. And thanks again for coming on.
Lovely, boys. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Cheers, mate. And I was going to say, just before you leave, I run my own clothing company down in Cardiff, so I'm always there a lot. So when I'm down, I'll drop you a message and shoot you some hoodies as well. Next time I'm down.
Lovely. I'll bring the belt down as well, so you can have some photos and everything else.
That'll be great, mate. I look forward to it.
Nice one, boys. Thank you. Cheers boys.
Take care, mate.
Cheers.
Bye.
Take care. Ciao, boys. Ciao.
That was wicked. What a nice guy. Yeah, so I guess next we'll just maybe touch on the weekend and sort of the action that happened. I guess probably the best place to start would be maybe the Parker Farr fight, which was obviously a little bit controversial again, unfortunately, with the decision. Well, certainly one of the scorecards, 109, 119, which I felt was an absolute disgrace. It was obviously a clinch fest. How did you score the fight, Connor, yourself?
Well, I texted you after the fight, I think, and I thought I was watching it, and I've done something that I basically shouldn't have done. Is I listened to the commentary and just let the commentary take me away from the fight, and I should have just muted the commentary and scored it as I went. Because after the fight, I looked at it and thought, Farr's won that. I probably gave Parker 5 rounds, no, not even 5 rounds, 4 rounds, and then I gave the rest to Farr because I just loved the way Farr was coming out, controlling the distance, keeping off his jab, and then when it was a clinch fest, but he needed to do that. And people accusing Farr of causing a clinch fest. If you go back to any of Fury's earlier fights, I mean, it's so similar. He doesn't have the slick movement as Fury, but he really was. Anytime he was getting close, he was clinching, turning, keeping really nice long distance. And I thought Farr boxed really, really well. What about you?
Yeah, I agree. I think he boxed to a game plan. I actually scored the fight a draw, so I scored it 115 to 115 with actually 2 10-10 rounds in there. And I don't usually really like to score 10-10 rounds because it's obviously nice to just pick a winner. But I felt there was so much clinching. I think it was round. I've got it here. round 10 and round 5, I think, there was literally so much clinching that barely any shots were thrown or landed. So it was just a horrible fight. But as you say, I agree. I think Firebox do a good game plan and won enough of the rounds to get something from the fight. So it's just a bit disappointing, obviously, to see that on the scorecards. But it's a weekly occurrence now, isn't it?
The thing is, it's a weekly occurrence, but it's so strange because the first time we saw it, Eddie Hearn, we've seen it on a lot of his cards. He got a lot of abuse, but then we just seen it on Frank's. We're going to it. Just seen it on Frank's card, and then on Saturday morning we saw it over in New Zealand. So you can't really blame one person, but almost the sport. And it's like how I don't have the answer, but I don't know how we get rid of it because it is ridiculous. I mean, 109, 119, and to have Junior Farr to go through that whole training camp, he might as well not turn up if every judge had given him that. I mean, it's disgusting.
Yeah, I think you'll agree. The whole thing was just rubbish, really, to be honest, with that fight. It was just boring. Didn't like the commentary, I've got to be honest. But
Commentary was rubbish, mate.
Judging was a disgrace. So, yeah, I think the less said about that fight, the better, really. Then you had another heavyweight fight on the DAZN card in America, in Miami, and that was ZHANG against Jerry Forrest, which turned out to be probably one of the fights of the year. I don't know. What was your take on it, mate?
Well, I actually got quite interested in it because I started reading about, is it ZHANG, how you say his name? I think that's how you say it. Yeah, we say it is. And how he was kind of like him versus AJ in the Olympics. He's fought AJ before. And I thought, okay, that's interesting. There's a bit of background to him. And I watched him and I thought, he's an unreal heavyweight. The way he boxed the first 3 rounds, unreal. But then, I don't know what happened. It just like, he come off a stool a different man after the 3rd round. What do you think?
I think quite a lot happened in those first few rounds, mate. But I think you've got to give a lot of credit to the immense bravery by Jerry Forrest to keep getting up on the canvas. I must say that after the 3rd knockdown, I thought, I think the ref needs to step in here. Yeah. But yeah, his eyes were clear every time he got up. It was a strange, it was like an out of body experience for him. And then I think sort of there was a bit of a discussion in the corner, and he just got told to just start boxing him. And then obviously it felt inevitable that ZHANG was going to have a point taken off for pushing him down and stuff. So I think he was just biding his time. And then I think the cards were spot on. It was I scored it a draw. And yeah, I just felt it was a weird old fight. And then to see Jerry Forrest, at the end, jump out the ring, start calling out AJ, got to be the highlight of the year so far for me. It was great. So yeah, but I don't know.
Great cornerman from Forrest's team, really, because when you think about it, a lot of people would start panicking after 3 knockdowns, after not really getting a foot in the fight. But then after settling your fighter down, giving him a game plan, and just paving it out for the next few rounds to bring a draw from where he was, that he's got a really good team behind him.
Yeah, I just think as well with how slow ZHANG is, I think once he steps up to world level, he'll just lose, because I think people are just too good and too versatile at that level. They'll just come in with a game plan, be quick, be fleet-footed, and just be. I see him being a sort of Valuev type fighter, very big, very slow, and people will just box his head off. But he bangs, so who knows? I think he went to hospital actually after that fight, which
oh, really?
is a bit worrying, because I noticed sort of in the last 3 or 4 rounds he looked really gone, just completely out. And to be fair, I think Jerry nearly stopped him in the last round as well. It's completely mental, but. Yeah, for anyone listening who hasn't seen that fight, definitely go back and watch it.
Unreal.
And then I guess Canelo Yildirim, which was really disappointing.
I got a text from one of our friends, Ben, right? And I won't say who it is, but he went, that was such a disgusting fight, where I feel like fighters almost shouldn't get that purse for showing up like that, because give the talk he was giving during the week, and then just give that performance. They actually don't deserve a purse, which I thought was very harsh, but that just summed up the fight.
Yeah, I mean, it was weird because he sort of said in the build-up that he was going to go in there and have a bit of a slug out with him, which I always knew wasn't the case. But for him to sort of just stand there, tucked up, and just taking massive shots to the head and body, it just felt like, it was strange. But I think pulling him out was probably a good decision in the end, because I think he was just going to get absolutely blitzed away. And obviously we spoke to Gavin earlier a little bit about the Billy Joe Saunders fight. I wanted to go into a bit more detail just to finish. What do you reckon? How do you sort of break it down?
So after I watched Billy Joe, I think that's so annoying. The fighters just escaped my mind. It was when he boxed. I was for Frank, and he boxed a world title. Was it? I was going to say Yildirim. It's not. It was when he does the famous kind of move away, looks out to the audience. It was one of his best fights ever.
Lemieux.
Yeah, Lemieux. Yeah. What am I saying, Lemieux? And after I watched that, I thought he's got the talent to beat anybody because it's almost like his pitter-patter shots, and then he slips and moves, and on his southpaw stance, he almost like can make you fall into a trap. And I thought, if anybody can, it is him. But at the same time, mate, Canelo's a monster.
Yeah, I think, like you say, just what you said there, really, with the fleet-footedness of Billy and stuff. I think he's probably the most dangerous opponent in terms of Canelo taking a loss at 168. I really rated Billy down at middleweight, but obviously, he is where he is now, and he's comfortable that way. And I just think if he's to win that fight, which I think he can, I think he's not sort of tailor-made, but he's the one that, for me, in that division, that can really give Canelo a tough night. I think the only problem is with the way, like I said earlier, Canelo cuts off the ring and has like an impeccable defense in terms of upper body movement. I just worry that even if Billy does enough to win rounds in America, I think going into that fight, in fact, Billy said it in the week, I think he'll be 3 rounds down when he turns up, which is quite a depressing thought, really. But then again, in like sort of the age of social media we're in, I suppose you could say it's similar to Fury Wilder 1. If he does get a bit of a shocker on the cards, I think there'll be an immediate rematch because there'll be enough calls for it. But then, yeah, look,
even that's like we can't even. It's so annoying we're having to say that because it's like, yeah, because of social media means we'll get a rematch. It just shouldn't happen in the first place because when you go to America as a British fighter, we saw it against Fury Wilder. Wilder might have been trying to land heavier shots and look like he was on the front foot because in that first fight, Fury boxed off the back foot. But it's how in UK, judges, actually that's probably not a correct statement, but in America, the judges definitely don't favour the boxer on the back foot outboxing. They like somebody who's aggressive. And it's almost unfair. But
I think you're right. But I was just going to say as well, I think there's it's like we can't really, I don't know how to put this, but we can't really talk anymore. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like, whereas sort of back in the day, if you like, we would give people a fair shot in Britain, and we would favour, some people would favour the back foot boxing, but then other judges individually would favour coming forward. And I think it was a bit more of a level playing field. But now with the decisions we're seeing in Britain, I don't think we can make cases for that anymore because people are just going to say, well, here's this fight, and this fight. Like they're equally as they're just as big as robberies as we get over here.
True.
But then again, like Canelo could just knock him out, couldn't he? In like round 6 or 7.
Yeah, he could. That's the dangerous, but it's such a good fight, man.
Yeah, I think it's certainly, for me, the most. Obviously, Josh Taylor Ramirez looks as if it's going to be announced, but I think that fight for me excites me possibly even more than Fury Joshua. I really do mean that. I've been calling for that fighting Billy to get his chance against Golovkin and Canelo, and now we're going to finally see it. So, yeah.
The only worrying thing for me was when he did that. I knew he was taking the piss with the IFL TV interview he did, but he said he's got 4 stone to lose. And if he's got 4 stone to lose by May the 8th, as a professional fighter, you have to focus your whole camp on losing weight rather than boxing.
He hasn't got 4 stone to lose. That's all that is. Yeah, I think if you go back to sort of the Fury Klitschko fight, I think Billy's going to do exactly the same to Klitschko. I think they're similar personalities. I know Canelo doesn't speak English, but I think they're similar personalities. They're just sort of get on with it type guys, want to show everyone equal respect. But I don't think Billy's just going to stand there and be talked down to on this one. I think he's going to make it weird. Like that thing with the apron, it just kind of sums up, I think, where Billy's going to go with this. He's just going to make it really weird for Canelo. And yeah, I'll be interested to see how he behaves in the build-up. I don't know what you think, but...
Yeah, I think it's going to be an insane build-up, and it will be a genuinely mental battle. How do you get under someone's skin who can understand English but maybe not speak it? So how do you get under someone's skin who can understand what you're saying but can't come back in the same quick manner? It's going to be a real interesting battle of the minds and the pre-fight talk as well.
And then Conor, I guess another one to finish. We've still got some time. Taylor Ramirez, what do you reckon?
Yeah, it's a brilliant fight. What's Ramirez? 26-0? Or
Yeah,
25
he's got a couple. I think probably 5 or 6 more wins than Josh has. But I think Josh is. I suppose you can make an argument as boxed at a high level, given that Ramirez didn't box in the Super Series. But
yeah, and I think
26-0.
It's a clever move for Josh Taylor to move to top rank almost for this fight. Which at the start I was thinking, why has he done that? But now it clearly makes sense. And I back Josh all the way, mate, to be honest. I think he's absolutely brilliant, and I hope he comes out with a victory. And I'd love to see that headlined in Scotland. I saw him tweet about that, but I doubt it will happen.
Yeah, I think with that one, you've got to cash in, mate. So if Scotland makes sense money-wise, then take it there. If America makes sense money-wise, take it there. I don't think Josh Taylor should mess around with this one. I think he should cash in big time, because I think I could see him in a situation sort of similar to Joe Calzaghe's in a way, where he might have, this fight, and then he could have like probably 2 or 3 more defining fights, and then you could probably make it. I mean, I know it's really early, but you could probably make a case for him retiring, mate. Because
Really?
yeah, well, because this is for undisputed, isn't it?
Yeah.
It will be. Yeah, you've got to know when to leave the sport. I don't know. I think just cash in. So yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting one. I don't know if he'd move up. What do you reckon? Do you think he could move up?
I actually, there's always this thing about becoming a 2-weight world title holder in sports because 1 weight isn't enough, which is probably true. But I wouldn't actually risk it if I was Josh. I would walk away undefeated if that was me. But it depends
That's
how
what
much
I
he
mean.
wants
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I think 2 or 3 more career defining fights after this one. But then again, Ramirez is a dangerous opponent. Who knows? He might go in there and blow him away. But yeah, I'll be interesting to see sort of after this fight where Josh Taylor takes things. But who knows?
Exciting to see with his promotional stable as well, how many fights he signed, because whether he just signed for this fight and maybe another one, and then comes back, signs with Eddie Frank, because there's only so much. I don't know. I don't see many American promoters building up your kind of name and value as much as Eddie Hearn does.
Yeah, no, I agree. Well, listen, I think we're just about running out of time on the recording. I'd love to talk a whole lot more on that one, but yeah, I think today's episode was really good, mate. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I loved it. Gavin was super interesting and a proper bloke, wasn't he?
Cool. So yeah, that's the end of episode 3. Thank you very much again for everyone for listening. Yeah, cheers.
Cheers, guys.